Hi everybody, and welcome back to another extra, very special Hobby Titans hobby stream. I'm joined once again by Kat. Kat, how's it going?
Great.
You just got back from Adepticon.
I did.
How was it?
Fantastic. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was really cool seeing a lot of people that I don't normally get to see. It was a very interesting experience just because I think it's like the first big tabletop convention that has happened. Yeah, because like LVO is a tournament, but I would say Adepticon's a true convention.
LVO is like a 40K, it's like a Games Workshop heavy, wargaming heavy situation.
If you're not there to play a game, it's hasn't grown to that capacity yet. Yeah.
Well, let's chat a little bit about what we're doing tonight. I'm going to be painting up the new Avatar of Khaine, and we'll show you guys this where I'm at here in a little bit. Kat, what are you working on tonight?
More squigs.
More squigs.
Yeah, mangler squigs.
Yeah,
to be
this
specific.
is exciting. We've got Kat all in now on AOS. Very excited to see her army come to shape here.
Yeah.
These look beautiful already. We've done a little airbrushing. I've done a little airbrushing. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's get creative, guys. Okay, so here's where this guy is at currently. Let me move my light a little bit. I'll just update you guys with where I have gotten up to the point of, now, things I did before the stream. So I have mostly assembled him. I do have a lot of sub-assemblies going on, and we'll show those in a second. But as you guys can see here, I'll point a couple things out with a brush. I did a lot of his metal. I kept that separate and did some sub-assemblies here. So his bracers, his legs. I will show you how I did the metal because I didn't do all of it. His shoulder pads are here and ready to be painted. So that's actually what we'll start with. I'll just knock those out real quick. I haven't obviously done his body, his loincloth, very excited. And that's it. So we're gonna be doing a very lava, fiery type vibe on this guy today. And I've been painting a lot of lava fiery stuff because of the fire slayers for Sigmar. So it's kind of in my I don't know, what do you say, like the tip of my hobbying tongue?
Yeah.
I guess you would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at. And I think I'm ready to jump in. What about you?
I am working on some squigs and stuff. Yeah. I guess last time I was on here, I made one squig hopper. I got some pretty big beefy boys this time around. And I think the light's kind of washing them out a little bit, but
we can also pass one over here. We'll show them off in this close-up view here.
Sweet.
Okay, talk to me about what you've done.
So I primed them in black. And then I went through and I knew I wanted to do either like a pink or a purple. I think I decided on purple this time around. But my base color for that purple is a pretty dark navy blue. And then I airbrushed over that a amethyst purple color. And so I did a pretty light coat of mostly the purple. But I still left some dark blue peeking out just to get some shadows and stuff like that.
Down here.
Yeah.
It's like a periwinkle type thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on like the tops of his spine, his face, and his thighs and stuff, I sprayed it a bit more heavy with the purple. And then I went in and did a lighter pink just to highlight some smaller areas like his face. And then the tops of his thighs and stuff. So
it's such a nice gradient from the blue up to the pink.
Yeah. And
when you before the stream we were saying, does this read as pink or purple? It now does read as pink, but it feels like nature, which in nature often something's like, is that pink or is that purple?
Yeah.
Like what's going on there exactly? Yeah. So I'm into it.
Sweet. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well. I'm going to jump in pretty much right away here. Let's start the metal. I'll show you guys what I did because I did have kind of like a reddish metal look. So let's kind of hop in, and I'll show you guys right away my process here. So first, you'll notice if we just get a zoom in here, Kat, thanks. You'll notice that it is shiny. That's because I primed it with gloss black, since it's going to be all metal. So I'm pretty simple recipe that I'll just go ahead and knock out, which is pretty normal recipe that I use for metal. So it's lead belcher. Then I'm going to hit a couple highlight areas with, I think I gave Kat, Runefang steel, a little bit of Runefang steel. And then to turn it red, I want this like reddish color. I actually used the penetrating red ink from AK, just to tint it a little bit. So I'll knock that out and we can get going.
Yeah, great.
Kat, excited to hear more about Adepticon.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was actually, I think, surprising over how many, I guess, like really big name artists were there. And it's not like that's not usually the case, because Adepticon for the longest time was the home of the Crystal Brush, which I think as far as open competitions go in America, that was probably the one that you wanted to win.
Okay.
And by open, I mean like you could submit whatever and still be able to win Best of Show.
Yeah.
But as far as what competitions look like now that the Crystal Brush doesn't exist anymore, it's mainly manufacturer based.
Oh, okay.
Which is cool, right? If you're a fan of that particular manufacturer or that game line or whatever, but it also makes it so that like it's harder to be as creative as you want to be, because a lot of them have rules of like how much of your own sculpting you can do, how much kit bashing you can do.
I see.
So on and so
Right,
forth.
because the manufacturer wants you to mostly use their thing.
Yeah, their own thing. So, but it was the first Golden Demon in,
Oh yeah, since COVID.
like, no, in like 9 years in
Oh,
America.
right,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
hasn't been. Oh, Kat, sorry, weird request. Can you pass me the mouse just real quick?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one thing. I just want to make sure, sometimes I'm so bad at mics. Everybody knows this. So I like to keep this guy because every now and then, okay, good. Every now and then someone's like, Zach, you're not using your mic right, or something like that. And so.
Or your mic is brushing up against your shirt or something.
Something like that. So it's a good idea to kind of just hop down and check like that.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll keep it there.
Okay.
But whenever you need, we do have some super chats we're going to get to in a minute here. Very excited. And you can either click view activity or scroll back up. Thanks. Kat is producing here. Her first full producing.
Yeah.
Actually, right?
Yeah, I got a half experience when the
when the computer was
wasn't
out.
feeling
man.
well. Yeah.
Kat, can we get a shoulder zoom real quick?
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I just love how good metallics look after you have put them over black gloss.
Glossy black.
Gloss,
yeah. They lay down so smoothly.
So and it stays glossy.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's crazy cool. So that is the lead belcher, and now I'm just going to hit. So these are shoulder pads. So when I do the highlight, I'm kind of thinking about where these are going. Actually, I forget which one's left and which one's right. Good thing I have his instruction sheet here, because I'm not like good enough at weird shoulder pads to know which one goes where. This view actually doesn't help me much.
Oh no.
I wanted to see. Okay. The image, the one with the picture, it goes on his right. Okay, we'll come back to this guy.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I cut you off. You were talking about Golden Demon, Adepticon.
Yeah. No, it was just really cool. It was really interesting. A lot of the artists that I'm very familiar with, I saw at LVO, but it was really cool meeting like people that I only ever follow or only ever see or something like that, and just being able to get to like talk to them and stuff. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I took my first official hobby classes and that was really fun. I feel like I should have done more, but also at the end of the day, I was still exhausted. So like, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, what classes did you take?
I took a freehanding and textures class with Matt Di Pietro, and then I took Benjamin Cantor's color theory class, and then also Benjamin Cantor's Sweet Candy OSL.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I at one point I should go to a con and not play and do classes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna do that. I should though, for sure.
If you want to,
Yeah.
they were interesting. I didn't really know what to expect from them. So, you know, just being able to experience them, I think was really cool. But no, they were really good classes. I learned a lot. And yeah, it was cool seeing how many people like are interested in painting as well too, because I feel like it's almost something that gets a little bit sidelined in this hobby, with like tabletop gaming and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not as important to some people as it is to others. So it was really, yeah, it was an experience.
Well, you know what's like so weird is that there's a lot of information that shows that the hobbying component of tabletop wargaming is much larger and bigger than the playing.
Yeah.
And we you know, the Titan Studio, we know this because we get all this different YouTube data, and we, you know, you can just check like the biggest hobbying channels are always way bigger than the biggest play channels.
Gaming
right?
channels,
so
yeah.
it's very interesting. I always kind of think about, you know, there's like this weird, I don't know if they do this anymore, but if anyone remembers from like 10 years back or so, especially like pre-6th ed when GW was like very much like limited fan interaction, stuff like that. They kind of always talked about like what you did with their models, and they like made a big point. They used to make a big point that they're not a gaming company, they're like a model company, and you know the gaming is like whatever. But I don't know if you remember this. They always like are like, why do people like this? And they like give these different reasons, like gaming, painting. But another one was collecting. And I always was, you know, you always hear about the people who buy gray plastic and they just leave it in their
right. And
like
yeah.
I've often wondered, like, is that really, like, is there data to support that? Like, they're like, oh yeah, we make a lot of money appealing to this crowd that simply wants to buy and own these boxes with the product inside of them. Is that a thing?
I mean, I can see it being a thing, mostly just because also.
No, purposefully though. I don't mean accidentally. I don't mean like, oh yeah, I can't wait to paint this Eldar army like 10 years later. Like haven't gotten around to that yet. Like that kind of thing. I mean like, boy, I'm sure like stamps. Like wouldn't you just do stamps or coins?
I don't know. To each their own, really.
Yeah. I shouldn't judge the collectors out there.
Yeah.
I've just often wondered like. That seems like your hobby is shopping.
Kind
of. Which is a hobby.
But it's collecting as well too, because they update their models so often, and you know they discontinue models so often that like even just before the stream, we were having a conversation of, oh, does this model exist? And all of us were like, yeah, I think so. But
oh, yeah.
also,
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's a super fast way to find that information out. Is there, chat, does a Aeronautica Chaos Hellblade exist? I thought it did, but I might be wrong. So I know in new Aeronautica, it does not exist.
Yeah, it does not. Yeah. But a Forge World Aeronautica.
Yeah, old Aeronautica.
Potentially.
Does it exist?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Personally, I wouldn't buy to just collect because I am in it for the painting and for the creative side of it. But
Yeah.
honestly, like I can see it being a thing of I just want to own this and I just want to have it, and maybe I'll do something with it later. Maybe I won't.
I see. Okay.
I think that's part of collecting as well too. Of like maybe I'll do something with it, but I don't have any plans for it right now.
It's an
But I'm
interesting
going to buy
concept.
this model. Yeah.
We should here at Titan Studio, we should open a new channel that's just for people that like collecting, and it's just like a well-lit closet.
Yeah.
And the people are mic'd, and it's like, okay, here's my new thing. I'm gonna put it in with my other things.
Yeah, I mean, I like we have friends who just buy, and like, but it's a thing where like they have intentions to do things with them, but it's also a thing where like, oh, especially if limited models come out and stuff, they're like, well, I need that, I want that. Here's a con exclusive model, I want that. Is it part of their army? No. Or do they play? No. Do they even paint? Probably not. But it's just a thing where they want it. I don't know. I'm not one.
I'm not judging. I'm not judging. Seriously, I'm not judging. I just.
It seems weird because that's not what you and I are into the hobby for. It's just a different aspect.
Well, so we had a really good friend in the Bay Area. A lot of us all knew this guy, Michael Derry, and he passed a few years back. But Michael Derry was very famous for having a huge collection of stuff. But Michael Derry did stuff with his stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he had more stuff than he was ever going to be able to do with. But it was still, he did stuff with his stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
So that
he did stuff with some of his stuff, but like he was still a collector.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, I think it's like a little bit of both.
Yeah.
There.
Can I show what I just did here?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this looks not great right now, but here's the deal. So we're gonna be doing like some glowing magma stuff here, and this is like the inside of his chest where I want it to be the absolute lightest.
It's a little out of focus for some reason.
Oh, it might be this guy.
Okay.
There we go. Better focus. There we go. So you can see I actually took the titanium white ink, AK white ink, and I just kind of went into like his deepest chest recesses. If it doesn't look great, the good news is the next step we're going to do is put white airbrush, we're the same color, kind of all over the place. Not all over the place, but radiating out from here. And this is good because it will actually clean up. It'll make this look less sloppily applied once we put the airbrush over top of it.
Well, speaking of like glowing and magma, I want to start getting into our super chats.
Oh yeah. That turns out to be a good transition.
Yeah.
Actually, believe it or not.
Yeah. So we got a couple super chats before we even started here. These first two are from Super Reedy. And they said, "Hi peeps, it's been a hot minute since I super chatted, huh? Don't worry, still lava all the content, so I'll magma way back in here."
Nice. Yep.
Nice.
So
yeah.
it's been a while since we've gotten a good Super Reedy pun here on Hobby Titans.
Nice to see it return.
Nice to see it return.
Welcome back, Super Reedy.
Yeah, nice to see the return of great Super Reedy puns.
Now let's get to the other one. So an actual question for once. I'll be looking to make river pieces soon. Thinking to cut the riverbed out of pink foam and fill it. Any thoughts / tips?
Yeah, now we haven't released it yet, but Kat and I actually did. If you guys watched any Tabletop Titans streams last week, you'll have seen the water effect ponds that Kat and I made a little while back. They finally made it on the stream. We actually did do a video of how we made these. And that will come out soon-ish, I'll say, probably in the next month. We've got a work and editing queue here you guys would not believe, but
we're getting through it.
We're getting through it, and it's nice to have the content sitting there on the computer. We know it's there. Anyway, it will be out. In the meantime, though, Kat, the stuff we used to make that pond was like the AK line of stuff.
Yeah, the AK diorama, the still water.
Yeah.
Which, if you wanted to fill something, that would be what you would use because it's liquidy.
Mm-hmm. The still water.
The still water.
Specifically, because they have as Kat's saying here, they have a few different products, right?
Yeah, they have their gels and stuff, which are not liquidy. So that would be useful. My biggest tip, though, would be to not fill it with 2-part resin or anything that has a high temperature cure time.
On pink foam.
On pink foam, right? It's just going to melt it, especially if you don't seal it properly.
Yeah.
It's just not a good look. It kind of undoes a lot of like your work and stuff, which is unfortunate. So yeah. So
would you use the AK stuff?
Yeah. If you were only filling a
no, I think fillowing is right.
Fillowing,
fillowing.
Really shallow bit of it, yes. So I would maybe cut down maybe like a centimeter, maybe a millimeter, you know, like it, or maybe a little bit more than that. It just don't do too much.
Okay.
But yeah, so that would be a thing. You would seal and paint your pink foam first, and then if you wanted that like sort of like clear effect of like looking into the water, you would just paint your foam, you know, like varying depths of whatever watercolor you wanted to paint it.
Which I think is actually for me, that was, I'll be honest, that was the most fun part, was that painting step. We did like a very bluish green.
Your algae
like stuff. And that was really fun. I really enjoyed the like getting to paint, getting to paint like what a pond looks like. We did ponds.
Yeah.
Rivers, I guess, are probably overall going to be less algae-y, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. It just depends on what colors you wanted to do. But yeah, you can do that. I guess our tips would be to paint it first, right? And then put your fill in. But my only thing is that with the still water, you really want to just do like a really thin layer. What you'll find when you leave it to dry is that it starts to pull into itself.
Yes.
And then, you know, if need be, you can always put another layer on and stuff. But at that point, then you're like putting more product on. And so you want to be covering not a whole lot is essentially it, right? You don't want to be pouring like buckets of this stuff on it.
Yeah, that's right. And we like I said, we do have a video coming out, and we kind of show this because, but there are other ones out there. You don't have to wait for ours, Super Reedy.
No, wait for ours.
Yeah, wait for ours. But yeah, they're a little weird to work with. Like, I would say my kind of take on working with it, because I actually hadn't really worked with any water effects until you and I did this project. We did this like, geez, at this point we painted that back in like January. I haven't really worked on any until I did that. But I would say my big takeaway was, it's like its own thing. It's weirdly like, you're like, oh, there's painting, there's terrain making. Like going in and doing water it was hard to like. There was almost nothing I could relate it to. I wasn't like, oh, this is just like when you do dry brushing a ruin, or like it had its own process that I thought was interesting, but not hard. It's just like step by step.
I would compare it honestly a lot to like almost like cake making in a way, with like different icings and consistencies and stuff. But if you're not a good baker, that's probably not it's not a really good comparison.
I meant to get in my one of my goals this year was to bake more.
Okay.
Because I love cooking, but it just hasn't happened, and I'm just too busy, honestly, here at the studio for the most part. Maybe one day.
We should just do Kitchen Titans or something.
Kitchen Titans, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. So yes, yeah. If you wanted to do it that way, you can 100% do it that way. There are a lot of other products that you can use out there. I don't know the brand, but there is a plastic sheet that you can buy that has this cool water texture on it.
Is that what I don't know, Woodland Scenics, do they make that? I think they actually do make that.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's probably made by more than one brand, but I know Woodland Scenics makes a bunch of this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like a train hobby stuff. So whatever that would be, I know Woodland Scenics makes a lot of that as well too. I don't know if they make the specific product that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there is a plastic sheet that you can buy that has like water texture already on it, and then what you can do is just paint the underside of it and then put that on it. And so that would be your water. You can also do some cool not temperature cured resin pours and stuff. You just really like UV resin would be fine. Or would it? Anything that has a really low cure temperature, because it will heat up.
Yeah.
You just don't want it to be like too hot.
You don't want to melt pink foam.
Yeah, well, you don't want to warp it as well too. That's a
true.
big thing as well. So there's like vinyls that you can get that you can cut. There's acrylic sheeting that you can find that has like some cool textures to it. It just kind of depends on what you want to do with it. It also depends on how big of a river you're making. Depends on how much detail you want to put into it. So there's several different things that you can look into. My suggestion would be to look into either the AK diorama line, or I know Woodland Scenics makes a lot of water texture stuff, and water gels and stuff that you can use. And Woodland Scenics has, and AK, they both have their own YouTube channels with like 5-minute tutorial videos that are super easy to watch and to go through and stuff.
I like both these brands. We were talking on right before stream how we like pretty much never speak ill of our product.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't talk about it. And so I will say though, I've been using both these companies' brands. I do tend to find that the AK stuff is a little like, this is sort of a weird word to use, but it's just a little tighter. It feels a little, excuse me, it feels a little bit, I think there's probably two things about it. The pro is that it feels like it works.
Like it works.
The idea behind it, yeah. I feel like whenever I buy Woodland Scenics stuff, I think part of the charm with Woodland Scenics, we talk a lot about honestly, like why are people involved in a hobby? Are they involved in the hobby because of the output, or are they, which I think probably describes you and I, Kat, like we want to finish things and have an output, or are they in it because they like the process? They want to go sit in their garage and work on things, right? And maybe they'll work on something forever because the output itself is not really what they're excited about. They're excited about
the process
and the meditativeness of the hobby and the enjoyment they get from that. I think Woodland Scenics caters more to that. I feel like whenever I buy lots of Woodland Scenics products, there's like bizarre, weird steps involved. Like I'm supposed to get like a certain type of bucket and mix it with like distilled water and like. So I feel like the AK products are a little bit more for people who are like ready to go.
Sure, yeah. I would say that the scenic stuff is not ready-made. The AK diorama stuff is ready-made, so it depends on where you want to go in the process. With the Woodland Scenic stuff, if you're doing a ton of stuff, though, it's super cheap in bulk, and so that's fantastic. Like if you just want to go out and buy all the products that you need to build one table, that's fantastic. It's super cheap, super easy, and then you'll probably have a lot of stuff left over to build another table.
Right. That's actually what happened to me when I first started making terrain for 40K. I was using a lot of Woodland Scenic stuff, and the downside is that, in my opinion, it tends to just look a little sloppier, and it tends to just be a little sloppier to work with. But you do get like almost like more. I don't know, like more freedom. I don't know if freedom's the right word, but it's a little bit more open-ended with how you work with it. Yeah. And then also, like you said, it's just like you get an insane amount of stuff, right? Yeah. But that ended up being one of the big reasons I stopped getting some. I was using like their plaster of Paris and just like different stuff that they had. And one of the biggest problems I had is I kept accumulating just giant tubs and boxes and bins of Woodland Scenic stuff. I was like, cool, I just finished this board. I don't need this stuff anymore.
What do I do with
this? And eventually, I mean, that was like 3 apartments ago, so,
it's somewhere.
That's not the kind of stuff that survives a move.
No, yeah.
You throw that out, right?
Yeah. I mean, but now that we have the studio, you can just bring it to the studio. But, that's not everyone's thing. So it depends on what you want to do. You can fill it. You can not fill it and then put water texture and gels on top of it. You can fill it and put water texture and gels on top of it. You can use these cool like acrylic sheets that are clear. They have water texture already on them. Those are super awesome. It's just you gotta like cut them to shape at that point. Then you have a bunch of like scrap pieces that you can't really do anything with. So yeah, you can go several different ways. You can also watch our video when it comes out and see how we did it. So, whenever Zach is done editing and that, you can see that.
Yeah, we use the AK stuff, spoiler. So, but the Woodland Scenic stuff is good. It's good stuff. Thank you, Super Reedy.
Yeah.
And thank you, Broken Chef. Do we have the whole one? Yeah, there we go. He says, artist opus brushes. This is a good question for Kat. Keep fraying and breaking off. Any brush care tips? I know I am hard on my equipment and want to stop it. John is fiend. John is fiend. I like how we didn't include the word John is a fiend.
John is fiend.
John is fiend, I think, is the new way we're going to do this. I don't know if I missed that last night or it was a typo, but one way or the other, I love it, Broken Chef. We get this question a lot. What are your favorite brush care tips?
Well,
this should be a
first
top
of
5.
all, yeah, brush care tips, yeah. First of all, if you use a brush for a really long time, especially natural hair brushes, chances are your bristles are going to break, kind of no matter what. It's inevitably what ends up happening down the road.
They're not supposed to last forever, right?
No, yeah. But they can last you for a really long time if you take care of them. Now, what does taking care of them entail? For me, it's I'm much better about this with my brushes than I am with my airbrush. It's cleaning it. It's cleaning them after every single time you use them and ensuring that you get all of the buildup out of them. Now, cleaning, what a lot of people don't make that connection with cleaning is that it's really harsh on your brushes. It's like if you were to shampoo your hair, just all the time, you're gonna get breakage on your hair.
Yep. Because literally we're kind of almost talking about the same thing.
Yes.
Like we pretty much are talking about the same thing.
Yeah, cleaning not only just the agitation of working paint out of your bristles, but also the products that you use when you're cleaning. The chemical
component of it, right?
Yeah, like the chemical soap, whatever opponent that you're using in order to get paint out of your bristles. It's stripping the oils out of the hair. And so what you do afterwards, no matter what you end up using to clean your brush, you always want to make sure you're putting a good conditioner in it when you're done. And you are going to leave this conditioner in your brush until the next time you use it. Now, whatever conditioner you use is up to you. I will take hotel bottle like conditioners and stuff like that.
You actually use conditioner made for human hair.
Yeah. I will just take like little things of conditioner that you can get at like hotel rooms.
Not
and
like
stuff.
high-end stuff?
No.
I just bought a bottle of It's a 10 conditioner.
That's really expensive.
Ooh, that stuff's expensive.
Yeah, that's really expensive. Did you buy that for your brushes?
No, I bought it for my hair.
Okay. I was gonna say, that's really expensive.
Yeah.
So just like, it doesn't have to be high-end conditioner or anything like that, just some sort of conditioning product. Now, it should actually be conditioning, because a lot of times, a lot of conditioners, like a lot of cheap conditioners, are just filled with like silicone products and not anything that is like oils afterwards.
Yeah.
And what silicones do is they coat the bristles. They make them feel softer than they actually are, but the moment you wash that out of your hair or your bristles, there's no conditioning agent that goes in with them. So what you can do is just use conditioner, make sure it actually has like jojoba oils or coconut oils or some sort of like oil in it. And then put that in your brushes and let them sit until the next time you use them. And then when you go to use them again, rinse them out with water, and then you should be good to go again. Other than that, you can just use pure raw coconut oil. My only thing with that is that it's hard to wash out of your brushes.
Which is not fun.
Yeah. So you can use just pure oils. It's just a pain to wash out, which is why I mentioned conditioner, because it is designed to wash out of your hair.
Right.
So that'd be my thing. I know some people use like beard oils and stuff. Because those are thinner, But again, I find that they're a little bit harder to wash out of your brush when you're ready to use them again. And you don't want them mixing with your paints and stuff, because then you can get a weird reaction with your paint to where now that paint is harder to wash out of your brush. So, yeah.
Yeah. I've used for a while now this stuff right here, the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver. And it's very nice. I haven't used...
Nice.
Oh, Siri's hopping in here. Siri has had enough.
Siri wants to insert her own
Yeah, Siri's
opinion.
decided that they are... Oh, no. Okay, let's stop. All right, thank you. Yeah, okay. Anyway, Siri, great product though. Seriously, buy Apple stuff. Anyway, helps, helps the Prior Pfeiffer House Fund. Now, what I will say is I haven't tried enough different products to know if this is like amazing or not, but it is amazing for me so far.
Yeah.
And this stuff, Broken Chef, I use it to clean. I actually use it a lot. Like Cat, it's not a great. Okay, like Cat, I do clean kind of a lot. This stuff is supposed to be a conditioner as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The thing is, I question how good that is, because weirdly, what makes me question it is, look, I honestly, you go to like buy cheap shampoo that says it's also conditioner, like.
And it doesn't actually condition your hair.
Yeah, I don't know. So. That said, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't necessarily buy a shampoo conditioner for my hair. I'd buy two separate products, right?
Right.
Plus, I don't always want to shampoo, but maybe I do want to condition more or whatever, right? So, anyway, it has been good. I don't think it's been messing my brushes up too much. And I do clean frequently. I've also been using it a lot on different synthetic brushes, and it cleans those quite nicely. Mm-hmm. And they're probably holding up better anyway. In fact, they probably benefit from it more than natural brushes, because they probably want the ongoing, continued conditioning. They probably enjoy that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of I don't know. I guess that's sort of my take on it. I should try real conditioner though. I should bring a little bit of It's a 10 in, see how that works.
Wow, you're gonna spoil your brushes.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, how much of it are my brushes really gonna need?
Right.
Like, I can't possibly use that much.
Yeah, that's fair. So, I guess my thing is, after you clean, you want to condition. So that'd be my suggestion. If you find that you're still getting a lot of breakage, it might also just be in how rough you're using your brush as well too. If you're like jamming it on there and like, grinding your ferrule onto your product, then like that's not great either. But it just depends, right? So I would suggest two things. Be a little bit nicer with your products, and then do like some deep conditioning and stuff, especially if you paint a lot. Because I paint frequently, but for like kind of short bursts at a time, right? I'm not like sitting there for like hours on a time, right? Like maybe, I think the longest paint session I'll do is maybe like 4 hours. It just depends on like what I'm doing. So in the long run, my brushes last for a really long time, technically speaking, but also how much wear and tear I'm putting on them probably isn't as much as compared to someone who is, painting for like 8 hours, however many times a week, so on and so forth. So it just depends. But my suggestion, first thing to try would be to use it, like condition your brushes. Second suggestion would be to just paint a little bit nicer. And by nicer, I mean...
be more gentle to the brushes.
Just be a little bit more gentle. No, like paint perfectly. Every time you put your brush down, it needs to be perfection. No, just be a little bit more gentle. That would be my suggestion. But also, try deep conditioning your brushes and like leaving them alone with the conditioner on them, and like, you know, shape your brush and stuff, and then just leave it down like that, right?
Yeah.
Don't put them up like this, because then water gets into the ferrule, and then that affects them negatively as well too.
Good advice. Don't be a brush bully.
Yeah. Do you want to check in and see where you're at?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have been using lighter and lighter colors. I started with Evil Sun Scarlet, Troll Slayer Orange, Flask Gitz Yellow, and now I'm on to Phalanx Yellow. Going in here, and I'm kind of working my way in, but there's magma-y stuff all over this guy, so, and fire as well. So it's a little hard to be like, oh, like I want to work my way into stuff. So you know, those white lines I painted at the beginning, those are kind of one of the places I'm working my way into. Now, when he's done with this, the next step I'm going to do, we want him to have kind of like a volcanic-like appearance. So what we're going to do here next is we're going to start doing some dry brushes of honestly blacks to go over a lot of this to almost bring him back down. He's very glowy right now, which is super cool. Trust me, I love it, but it's a little too glowy. Man, I totally forgot the one side of this flame, so I'm gonna have to go back with almost every color. But yeah, well, and honestly, I'm going to be very gentle. I want him a little more glowy. I want him a little more glowy and not so like very, what is that called? Like, you know, not magma, but I don't know, when it turns black, lava.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the look, but I do want him to be very glowy still.
Yeah, no, he looks cool. Looks cool. Awesome. We got one more super chat to go over. And this is going to be from Willow Weeks. Speaking of collecting, I bought some Wadroon Raptor Riders on a whim at Adepticon as a side project. Any tips for scales and feathers?
Willow's a hobbyist after your own heart, huh, Kat?
Yeah, I know. Wadroon Raptor Riders even. Yeah, those are what got me into Conquest, is wanting to paint them. And then feeling like I should probably do something with them. So my tip would be to get some fluorescence and learn how to
Fluorescence?
learn how to fluorescent your fluorescence. No.
Do you have a recommendation of fluorescence? I have some that I've used that I like, but I'm curious what you've used.
I've used both scale fluorescence and the fluorescence from AK. The scale fluorescents are very creamy in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense because they're very liquidy, but they're great. Honestly, I like them a lot. The fluorescents from AK behave much more like what you would expect a acrylic paint to behave like. The fluorescents from scale, they're almost like a watery jelly kind of consistency, but I like them. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I've used these. I don't know if you've used the Vallejo Mecha line, which is weird. That's normally the varnish we use.
Yeah.
The Mecha line of Vallejo's Mecha line. But these are pretty good. I've used these a lot. They go nice through airbrush. They're better through an airbrush than through not an airbrush. I will say that. But they've been good.
Yeah, I think that the entire Mecha line is an airbrush.
It really is an airbrush line, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything special by
saying that they're not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess my tip would be to really practice painting fluorescence on top of like white, especially if you want your scales to pop. If you have an airbrush, painting at different angles, very similar to how I painted these Squig here, where you're going to be painting like a much darker color on the bottom, lighter color on top. Like I just airbrushed all of this in, but you can see, let's just pretend that these spikes are scales in a way, where the top of them are this light pink color, the bottom of them are the dark blue color. And that is a really easy way to make some scales pop really, really well. I wish I had brought my Apex Predator in to really show off like what I mean, but because for him, I'm trying to paint him to look almost like a what are they called? A crow, almost.
Okay, I'm not sure how you expected me to fill in there.
Like a crow, but crows aren't just black. To me, like I really want it to look like the sun, like depending on where you catch him at different angles. He's purple, he's red, you know, whatever. Really playing into the cool sculpt that the all the Radroon dinosaurs have. That would be my number one suggestion is if you want a really bright color on the edges of them, paint them white and then paint your fluorescence on top of that. And then, yeah, go from there. I think that would be really cool. It just kind of depends also on what your color scheme was going to be. Now, that's very interesting. What are you doing there?
So what I'm doing is using a makeup brush with black to go over him, to sort of start to put
the textures back on
of back on the raised parts, right?
Oh, okay.
Without really going into the deeper parts at all. And also the nice thing about the black and the makeup brush is like it is doing other things that I probably like maybe necessarily don't want it to do. Those things include giving me a little bit of a I guess an edge low light on some of my metallics and showing up even on them. But the cool thing about this is, honestly, I can clean up anywhere where it gets too, if we want to do a zoom in here real quick, I can clean up anywhere where it gets too ugly. But for the most part, let's make sure we have a good, okay. For the most part, you can see it's put up there. I'll fix out some edge highlighting. But just the black hitting other areas isn't the biggest deal. It honestly just kind of tones things down a little bit. So it's nice, and it actually even looks pretty good on the fire as well. It just gives it a little bit more depth, I think is probably the word I'm looking for. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I've done a couple passes with black, with Abaddon black now. And now the next one I'm going to do is Corvus black, a little less black. And I'm actually kind of debating either Galvor Bach red or Corvus black next. I probably will do both. What order would you go in, Kat?
With your dry brushing?
Yeah, would you do... Yeah, I think maybe the red next, then the Corvus black. I don't want the red to be super big of a deal, you know what I mean?
Then yeah. It just depends on what you want to be on top is really my next
I don't
question.
actually quite want... Well, also what will really be on top is a fine dapple of silver, honestly. Because if you look at how like when magma dries, it gets like this silver sheen at its highest points, sort of. So that's ultimately what we'll have. But we'll do a little bit of Galvor Bach red here, just because we still want this black stuff on top to have an indication of like warmth.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. It's actually creating like a really cool effect. But yeah, to answer your question, Brett, when I say scale, I do mean scale 75. So yeah, scale 75 has a fluorescent line. Part of the 3rd gen acrylics from AK are fluorescents, or they're neons. No, I think actually on the bottle they're called fluorescents, but if you buy a pack of them, it's the neon pack. And then, yeah, the Mecha colors have some really cool fluorescence on them. You'll notice that, like, essentially they're all just, like, straight hues of color. So, yeah, but on top of white, they just pop so beautifully. And I find that with scales and feathers, you want to get that like really bright, shiny sheen, like a light reflection without it being metallic would be my thing. So if that's what you want to do, you can do that. If you want to go in and paint individual little feather lines and stuff, you can do that as well too. That is mind numbing, and I wouldn't suggest doing it on a army.
No, no, that's like a show. That's like showpiece stuff, right?
Yeah.
Any kind of feathered army, you'll kill yourself if you're doing too much like that.
Yeah. So you can dry brush if you don't have an airbrush. You can dry brush in that effect with like the different angles and stuff like that, and get a very similar effect when it comes to like how you rotate it and you're catching all these different colors and stuff. So that would be my thing, is work with some really cool colors. Another thing that kind of goes into what we're going to be talking into, like our in-depth topic, is look up some pictures of some birds or something, or some fish, and see how their scales go, and like videos of birds, videos of fish would actually be better, because then you can kind of see how light reflects off them in different angles and stuff. And you can really get that cool effect just by airbrushing or dry brushing in like different directions and different angles and stuff.
Yeah, it's literally almost like what we just said earlier, right? Like nature has a lot of surprises when it comes to color. I know I famously blab about trees not really being brown, tree trunks. There's like a lot of different, there's a lot of colors going on, like in weird kind of layer combinations often. And I think birds are pretty famous for that. Even like fur, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this guy is. Now this process I did introduces a big kind of messy component to things. So I do now have to go in and clean up and be careful with some of these other areas on him. But this is really the kind of core base of him. Now what I'm going to do, like I may want to bring the silver back down, so I may do a little corvus back over top of that. So what I'm going to do now is go back in, start finishing some of the other details. I'll have to be careful though, because if I do want to do the corvus, like I said, the makeup brush is kind of messy. So I probably should just do the corvus now, because if let's say I paint this kind of like loincloth thing he has, and I'm going to be painting that like a lighter color, like a Typhon Ash type color. I don't really want to be then doing the makeup brush over top of that. The makeup brush is super messy.
And by messy, you just mean like hard to control?
It's hard to control, right? It's big, it's fluffy, it goes all over the place. It's not meant to really do stuff like this.
Yeah.
I should probably get a smaller one for this kind of stuff. But there we go, that's more like it. So just bring the silver back down a little bit. It should kind of look like graphite is really the look you're going for. Like a graphite sheen that you might see on something is what we're aiming for here. Okay, so that's for the most part the nuts and bolts of his main body, his skin, so to speak.
Yeah.
So now just got to do his other details. Now this whole time I actually forgot to do all of his face, so unfortunately I now have to go do that. So I will now repeat everything I just did, which is quite a bit, all over his face. Starting nicely, I do have the red here, so that's good. So we'll start there. And actually, this is not bad because I didn't really go over what I was doing the first time anyway. So, starting with the red, and I'm hitting, in the case of his face, I'm kind of hitting all over with the red. So red, and then we'll do the orange. And again, we're kind of bringing it in a little bit. The red is like the coolest color, right? In terms of fire glow.
Right. Okay. I was like, in terms of like, it's just cool.
No, in terms of fire, right?
Yeah,
red is the least hot fire.
Yes.
So, like, we want that to go the furthest. Next, we'll put a little bit of Troll Slayer orange. This is going to be pretty quick here, just making sure my airbrush is nice and cleaned out. Here, So next we'll put just a little bit of the orange, and then we'll do the other 2 yellows here. And then I'm not gonna do his eyes yet. I'm gonna do his eyes at the end because his eyes are gonna be like glowing yellow. So we do the Troll Slayer orange, which is really almost just about turning the red into a warmer red. My Mephiston, Evil Sun Scarlet is like slightly leaning, you know, it's scarlet, it's slightly leaning warm for a red, but the Troll Slayer just, I don't know, emphasizes that more, I think. The orange.
Right, the brighter color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good tip too, like of like what I was saying earlier of like, does this read more purple? Does this read more pink? The moment I put the pink highlight on top of it, it read more pink.
Right.
But
without really having to add a lot of pink.
Right, and I just touched like the little tips of it and stuff. So if your reds aren't looking as bright as you want them to, that's a really good tip of just add a little bit of orange or a little bit of yellow. And it makes your reds appear much more vibrant. Even if you're just going to paint red back on top of that, if you're going to do that, then I would suggest painting white and then putting a red back on top of it. That's a pretty neat trick where you can get really vibrant colors that way, but still be able to blend them into your not super vibrant colors. Is just quickly airbrushing or painting on some like white and then glazing on some fluorescent like reds or some red ink as well too. That works as well.
So what are you doing now in your squigs?
You're
doing some teeth.
Yeah, I'm just blocking out some color and stuff. Teeth. Yeah. So because I airbrushed the pinkish purple on before, like everything is pinky purple. So now I'm just trying to pick out like different details and stuff. So I'm just slapping on some like off-white, ivory-ish. I think this color is vanilla white onto his teeth.
Yum.
Yeah.
The idea of blocking out color is great. Like, I literally was doing this right before the show. Kat and I were talking, and I wasn't really paying attention to anything she was saying, and I became increasingly agitated instead because I was trying to kind of get the skin tone down for my daughters of Khaine, and it didn't come out how I wanted it to. But then I was like, you know what? I need to paint around the skin, like their cloth, and see then if I like it better. So, like, it's good advice, right? Like, just putting the other colors down, I was like, okay, now I can talk to you, Kat. It was actually very rude of me because we were in the middle of like a serious conversation, and I just like kind of went silent. I was like, what is going on? And it just got kind of annoyed.
Yeah, it's not like we were just planning out like a bunch of videos or anything like that. Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, it was not one of my, not a great way to, but look, you know what? I've never had a real 9-to-5 job. I tell everybody this. I have no idea how meetings are supposed to work.
Fair.
And now it's not really fair, honestly. It's
okay. It's not like I have a typical 9-to-5 job either.
Right.
So, it hours wise, yes, but it's not typical by any means necessary.
Yeah. So you don't know how meetings work either, so we're good.
It's fine. I also wasn't really paying attention to you not paying attention, so
good.
it was fine.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
That's a success. That's a avenue for success.
Yeah. So, we have a bunch of videos coming out soon. So stay tuned for those. They're going to be really well planned out.
Yeah, they are. They will. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I need to mask this guy's face because just like in the box art, I want this guy to have like very white hair. I think it's going to be very striking against his skin. So yes, I'm gonna spin around here and get the AK masking putty. Hopefully I know where that is.
Yeah, which is always super fun to find.
Actually, where is it?
Because it's just like a little black blob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? Ow. Just hurt myself with masking putty of all things. You've heard of hurting yourself with a knife and crazy.
A hazardous job.
Yeah. Well, Kat, is this a good time for us to talk about today's, not top 5 today, actually. We did a kind of like a top 3.
Yeah.
Here, you want to pass it here?
Cute. I'm missing a couple teeth in the front, but I need a smaller brush for that. But yeah.
A little cap. He's got a cap.
Yeah, it's cute. I might make that. I'm debating on whether or not I want to make that silver or gold, but I made the other metallics on my little squig hopper gold. So, you know, I might do that.
I really love the the kind of periwinkle thing going on.
We're making cute hammer here.
Yeah, no, it's a great color.
But yeah, no, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's go with this.
Oh, it's me first.
Yeah.
Okay, so what Kat and I want to talk about today was we're both starting new projects, big new projects. In the case of me, it's an AOS army, and in the case of Kat, it's an AOS army.
Yay.
So these are big new projects, but this is maybe if you're starting a new army or starting new terrain. And what we want to talk about is just the things we do when we're starting a big new project. And these are things, yeah, I don't know. I always do these things and I always feel better after I've done them. Because until I've done, honestly, I hate to use such a strong word, but it's when it sits on my mind before these steps have happened, it's honestly a little stressful for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, it can be, right? So I kind of go through these steps to help me start to feel better about my big project, but honestly, nothing helps me feel better about my big project than getting in and like getting the first unit done.
It's just getting started.
Getting started, getting it to look how it's supposed to look. My gosh, I'm putting little, what is this called? Masking putty on little elf ears.
Oh.
Right now. And they're really not little elf ears, but they're little elf ears. So my first thing to do, honestly, and we'll talk about each of these, so we might pull away from the screen, Cat, while we chat a little bit.
Yeah.
But my first thing that I like to do is pick a color palette. You and I actually have different approaches, but we have a similar first step. Well, I don't know if it's a first step, but we have a similar, there's two here that are kind of similar for both of us.
Yes.
For me, it's about picking color palette and then honestly like getting it. I like to set my paints out. I even did that today with this Avatar of Khaine. I want to paint him to fit into my Simhan army, but I want him also to be able to fit into the studio's other armies. Since he's the one we have right now, and it's not, John, Adrian, and I all play Suryani, all play Craftworld Eldar. So like we want, I wanted one that did look Simhan to match my army, but like I said, could fit in their armies as well. So it wasn't a collection of colors. I was used to having lived together, right? So I kind of laid out all the paints and looked at them and said like, oh yeah, these paints look good together, right? Like I want to make sure the paints look good together.
Okay,
like,
so that's how you pick your color palette, is by physically picking out the paints and having them be together.
There's sort of a start. There's
Okay.
sort of a start of like what colors do I actually want. Yes, but then actually setting the paints out and like grouping them all together and seeing them all sitting there together helps me tremendously. Like I can start to be like, oh, okay, like yes, this all works. Or like, oh wow, like what is that blue doing there? Oh wow, that blue needs to be more green maybe, or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I do a similar process of like, okay, it helps to like physically look at them and see them in hand, in person, under the same lighting as well too. That's really important to me. It's also why I put on my paints like these little paint swatches like on the tops, caps and stuff. Yeah. Because that, like, sometimes what the paint looks like in the bottle is different than what it looks like when it's actually dry. And so having them all have little paint swatches on them when I put them all together helps out a lot. So yeah, no, I get you.
I would definitely agree with that. So that's, I don't know, for me, like starting to see the colors and starting to see how things are going to look is very important. And like I said, I typically don't feel, I feel like a project is still like, I don't know what the word is. Like it's not, I'm not sure a project's going to work until I've done that often.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big first step for me.
Yeah.
My second step was get unique storage for the project. So these next two are honestly a little bit more organizational.
Okay.
Whenever I'm starting a new project, I always, like, it's honestly usually when I clean my hobby area. I literally just have been cleaning my hobby area recently, both the studio and the reorganizing and my home hobby area in preparation for the Daughters of Khaine, because it is going to be such a large project I'm undertaking. So I want to have storage bins for it. I went through, I got rid of things. Actually, I got rid of a bunch of old rattle cans I still had. So yeah, I find that that's like a very kind of critical part, is to make sure that the project is set up to succeed, to not fail, to like be easy to work on. Like, I don't want blockers. You know what I mean?
You're removing your obstacles.
Exactly.
In a way.
I absolutely like don't want any blockers.
Right.
I want to be able to just say, okay, cool, I'm going to go paint. I go grab this bin. There it is. Cool. Here I go. I don't want to be like, oh man, like if I do that, I first have to clean off the table, and that stinks because like I don't feel like cleaning off the table, and now I have to also put this.
Where do I store this when I'm not working on it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I hate all that stuff. So, yeah, that's for me. Like making sure the project is easy to touch into whenever I can is great. Even right before Kat and I went live, I was working on them because I did that. I made it nice and easy to just be able to pick up and grab and go. So sort of important for me to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Finally, the last one I have is that I document everything I do, because starting from the very beginning. So, you know, bases, whatever it is, like I've done the bases now for the Daughters of Khaine. So I write down everything I do right away, because I don't. I wanted it to be consistent, and when it's new to me, I don't have it memorized, right? Like my Tao, my Saim Han, I have those pretty much memorized now. Like I don't really need. I still wrote them down, but for me, also writing them down helps me memorize it. So it's sort of like a self-fulfilling feedback loop that is beneficial to me. But you know, like I've also stepped away from projects for a really long time. So yeah, I don't know. I lots of people don't love doing this. Do you do this, Kat? Do you write down?
Do I write everything down? No, I do not. No. No. And there have been times where I wish I did. Especially when you're talking about like stepping away from a project for a really long time.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a thing where like even my Plague Angel. I started working on him for the 2020 Resin Beast competition, and then obviously that got canceled, and then 2021 got canceled as well too, and he essentially just kind of sat in my case for 2 years, and I didn't earnestly start working on him again until like January of this year.
Oh, okay.
And at that point, I had completely forgotten all of the paints that I had used on him. I had also lost a lot of the reference pictures that I was basing him on as well too. Which
is big, as we'll see.
Yeah.
With Kat's, how Kat does her project.
I don't know about lost. It just got buried in my like photos. So, like I had to like scroll back like a million times, and it just became a pain to look up and stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, there's been times where I feel like I should, but also I feel like for me, that makes the process harder. So I've just now taken taking pictures of everything that I'm using as I do like step by step of like, oh, these are the paints that I've used. Okay, cool. And then I'll take a picture of it with my model, and then like that is easy enough for me to then reference back and be like, oh, okay, cool. I use these colors on these on this place. Yeah, the pictures
is good, and typically it's kind of funny. Like usually the steps aren't what I need to record. It's like the colors, but it might be little elements of the steps. Like it's okay if this happens because what's going to happen next does this. Like I'll often include things like that.
Oh, okay.
Like it's okay if you get some of this on his armor because
you're going to cover
your
it
next
anyway.
step is going to do that. Yeah, like I'll often like reassure myself of things like that. But it's critical for me. I feel very uncomfortable trying to replicate something just by looking at it that I did in the past. I really want those documents.
Yeah. For for me, I don't have to. I feel like I don't have to replicate it. As long as I get like kind of close enough, like that's totally fine. I can blend into colors or, you know, just completely cover them up as well too. So like it's not critical for me, but sometimes where I'm like, nah, I really like this color and I wish I had like wrote it down or something.
Yeah.
I almost dropped this in my wet palette
your
that's
wet
full
palette.
of black.
Wow. Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, no, those are good. Those are really good.
What about you? Big new project. Kat's starting
Yeah.
a big new project right now. How do we do this?
So yeah, my first step would be to find and remember your motivation, right? We talked about this several times of like why this would be good to put up there, not put up there. But my thing is like anytime you start something new, whether it be like a single model or, you know, a full on army, it just like it's a thing of remembering why you started it in the first place. And I think that's really important because a lot of times people, with me, because I'm not an army painter, I find that I'm probably going to quickly get tired of them, or I anticipate myself getting tired of painting almost the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, because you're like, cool, just finished a model. Let's do that.
Again, yeah.
You know, 39 more times.
Yeah. So for me, I anticipate that being the hardest thing for me to get over. And so remembering of like why I'm starting this army in the first place.
Now I have a question for you actually.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about asking this, but I'm very curious what your answer is going to be. I'm very curious, how are you, because I haven't seen you really batch paint. Are you going to be, like even here, right? Are you still kind of figuring out exactly how you want these guys to look, or are you, like how many, you know, you've grabbed this box of Mangler Squigs, but how many Mangler Squigs are you going to have in your army? Right?
I don't know.
You don't know, yeah.
I don't know.
So like, have you thought about this? I'm kind of curious to the extent that you've thought about this, or dare I say, not thought about this.
Not thought about it. Yeah. I think what is interesting with me starting this army is that I think the biggest thing is that I don't know how to play. So that's one thing.
Okay.
And I don't have a list made. I'm just kind of buying and painting what I want to buy and paint, which for me is more motivating than if I go, okay, well, let me make a list. I guess I'll put this figure in here because it fits point wise or it fits like tactically wise, whatever.
Right.
But like I don't necessarily want to paint it, and I'll find that I'll like push that off to the very end and be like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then that might be a barrier for me later on.
Yeah.
But
no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have this army in the studio, right? Adrian has it. We should have you try some stuff out.
yeah.
But it's also good to, you know, you have to, unfortunately, like, I think in army paint, you kind of have to do a little bit of both, right? Like, you have to say, cool, I want to paint this because it's cool and it's fun. But also, I want to be able to go to the games, and I don't want to have to, like, just automatically lose all my games because the things I happen to like weren't good, right? Like,
I don't really care about that so much.
yeah, well, then
I
you're
don't really
good.
care about
Like,
that so
in that
much.
case, that's not a bad thing because the thing is then that, like you're saying, you can then really paint whatever you want, right?
I'm competitive, right? Like, of course I'll want to win, but if I lose, I know I will have fun no matter what. Just because that's the type of player that I am.
Yeah.
But then I will know, okay, cool, well, these guys didn't really work out so well for me. Maybe I'll change them then. And maybe I'll feel differently about that model that I didn't necessarily really like. Maybe I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe it starts looking better in my eyes.
Yeah.
Right? But at least with starting off, like, this is how I got started with Conquest. What really made me pick Wadroon was because I really wanted to paint those Raptor Riders. And I had no idea if they were going to be good, you know, play-wise or whatever. I just really wanted to paint them. Turns out they're fantastic. And they mow through regiments,
Yeah, but that is always the best reason, right?
Yeah.
If you think something's cool, either it's lore, it looks cool, or you like the vibe because you like barbarian-y stuff over knights? Are you like stealthy stuff over, you know, you like melee over shooty or whatever, right? Like it's always cool to pick based on that, I think.
Right, yeah. So for me, that's my motivation, right? Is I want to paint this because I think it's cool. And that might not be the same, you know, motivation for somebody else. Maybe what motivates other people is I want to paint this because I have to have it painted for my army and I'm highly competitive and this is what is good for my army right now.
Right.
So, you know, I think just finding and remembering your motivation, because like at some point you will lose it. At some point you will feel really disheartened. At some point, you know, no matter what, I think it happens to everybody. There'll be a point where you go, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And even with like my competition pieces, I, you know, start to feel really disheartened and like go, well, what's the point of finishing? But knowing like, okay, well, at this point, I just want to finish. I just want to call this done. And maybe your motivations will change later on, but I find that if you are just painting to paint and you're not really inspired by whatever it is you're painting, you're not really motivated to paint whatever it is you're painting, it just kind of kills it. It just kills everything. And like at that point, then, you know, just don't force yourself is essentially what I'm trying to get at. Because that's draining.
Yeah, definitely, right. And it's, if it's a hobby, like why are you doing it, right? If it's draining.
Yeah. So my second one would be make a collection of reference pictures. I'm gonna really preface this by make a folder that you could then find really easily later on. Because for me, with my Plague Angel, it was a bunch of like screenshots that I took of a bunch of different pictures on my phone that just like got pushed further and further and further and further and further down in my gallery of pictures as the years went on.
Sure.
So
the years, yeah.
Yeah, it was years, right? So that's a big thing for me. But I think it goes back into like number one of you know, finding and remembering your motivation and stuff. And then just, you know, quickly into number 3, don't work in, you know, hobby seclusion.
Yeah, this is an interesting. Talk about what you mean here.
I mean, like, what I find that a lot of people do is they go, okay, cool, I'm going to paint this. You know, no one bother me, no one talk to me, whatever. Sometimes people don't even want to share pictures online, share pictures with their friends, share pictures with their hobby mentors or anything like that, with their gaming group or anything. And I find that to be kind of lonely, one. But 2, sometimes it ends up saving you a lot of trouble. And what I mean by that is, for example, one of my employees wanted to paint a particular paint scheme and thought that the way that they were going about it was the best way possible. And we ended up telling them, like, no, that's not the best way. Actually, you're wasting a lot of time. And actually what you're going to end up coming out with is going to be just a muddy mess. And I meant that in like the best way, right? Maybe it's painted really nicely, but like your colors aren't going to come out the way that you want them to.
Yeah. The logic was sort of sound outside of painting.
It
but
made,
in the context of painting, it actually there are some things that maybe it wasn't sound, right?
Yeah. In actual reality, if you wanted to achieve a night vision look, yes, this is how you would do it. But the way that he was going about it was he was fully painting something and then was going to glaze over a bunch of colors and stuff. And I'm like, well, if you put blue and red and green all together, you're just going to get brown. So it's not going to turn out the way you want it to. But yeah, I think that's what I mean by like, don't paint in hobby seclusion, right? I made this mistake with and I always tend to make this mistake often. So, you know, practice what I preach and not what I do, is I get really insecure about my paint jobs. And I don't want to ask people their opinions, mostly just because I don't want to feel bad about it, but also I don't want to I don't want to feel like I'm doing something wrong, is essentially what it is, right? But it's also like if you surround yourself with the right people, you're not going to feel like you're doing something wrong. They'll give you really good advice, so on and so forth. So
yeah, well, that's really important. That part Kat just added at the end, because Kat and I didn't debate these or talked much about these, but I actually have to say that I prefer largely to work in hobby seclusion. I'm kind of a psycho about it. I am, Brett's in chat, he'll tell you I'm one of these people that does not share pictures of work in progress in like our fault line group that we're in. I stopped sharing works of progress pictures. I don't tend to share a lot of work in progress pictures at all. And it tends to be because I find that people weigh in, and I think people weigh in just because they are excited and they mean well, but they just want to say something. And I'm often like, yeah, I don't know, like the advice I just got there from you, one, I guess I didn't want that, so why am I posting work in progress pictures? This is like a hot take, actually. Well, I'm going to a dark place here, by the way, folks. But I'm saying I'll kind of be like, I don't actually want hobby advice, so why am I posting work in progress? And then I post work in progress and someone's like, oh yeah, when you go to the next step, you can do this. I'm like, cool, I'm not going to do it that way. I have my own way I'm going to do it. And so, or they'll just say, one of my favorite stories, one of my best examples of this, okay, is, this was forever ago. This person's not really around anymore, so it's okay. But some of my first terrain I ever made, and I made these, actually used on the channel up until recently. We call it the Malsey City. For fans of Tabletop Tiny Joe have seen this board, and it has like these 1-inch bases. I painted it up at the time. The play group I was in, this was years ago, had no other terrain, certainly no cohesive terrain. It was just like grab stuff from Game Castle off the shelves. Yeah. And this guy walked up when it was finished, and the first thing he said was, yeah, you can find this pink foam in 1/2 inch instead of 1 inch. And I just honestly just wanted to put his head through a wall, because I was just like, that is the first thing you said to me. Like, this group has been using like unpainted MDF, whatever, for years, and the first thing you say is like, hey, you used the wrong pink foam to make your board. And I'm just like, yes, some people just need to say things. So over the years, I've kind of been like, hey, hobby seclusion, kind of my friend. But what I've learned more recently is actually it's better to just sort of surround yourself with the right people, right?
Yeah, because the right people. What I get really excited about is the concept of making something, of this is what I want to do, this is how I'm thinking of doing it. Right. Am I doing it right? Or like, how would you do it? What do you think? What about these colors next to each other? Right. Because there's a point where I really trust like my instinct and my painting and color instinct and everything, and my knowledge of paint and color theory and everything like that. But I'm going to see my pieces a certain way, but other people don't have that same sort of they know every single step or whatever. They're just seeing it with what you show them right then and there. Right. And I think that is very important. Yeah, the context is important. And I don't mean to sound like a grump, I'm sure to a large extent I do. I think, honestly, what I'm describing is a way that just helps me feel better about the whole situation. Mm-hmm. I'm able to, interact with people and say and show them a finished product, a finished vision, and then they can say, "Oh yeah, this is cool," or "This I would have done this differently," or whatever. But I certainly am fairly selective. I like to be selective about who those people are. Yeah, and that's completely fair. I think, right? I'm very selective of who I will go up to and be like, okay, what do you think, right? I'm also very shy when it comes to that of hey, I'm gonna take up an hour or two of your time so you can tell me everything that I did wrong. Right. I don't take it personally, I like feedback, I like criticism, but I also feel like it's a lot to ask of someone, because it's also like you are asking them to be critical, and maybe they're not entirely sure how you're going to take their feedback as well too. So I guess my thing is I will ask for criticism. If I don't ask for it, you know, maybe I don't really necessarily need it in that step.
Right.
But yeah, I guess my number 3 could be just ask for criticism, ask for critique, ask for advice.
I think the way you phrased it is really nice. It's really it's nice. It's just for whatever reason that has not just
worked out for you.
My personality is such that I'm not a super big fan of other people's opinions. No, I'm just kidding. I want to be careful. I want to be selective. You know, and I think sometimes people will give advice that's just to jump in, right? And that's cool. They like want to be helpful, but I guess I haven't always. I guess I don't always take it the right way.
I feel like I
don't think I take it the wrong way, but
it takes a different, really, really strong individual to take unsolicited criticism in a positive manner, right? But I guess I should just say ask for criticism, right?
Yeah, but it's a fair point where if you are posting work in progress, it makes sense that people would then give that, right? Because why else are you posting? Just to show what you did, and honestly, that is what I used to do. A bunch of us, we just posted to help to show people.
Look what I'm working on.
Yeah, like hey, this is gonna be on the board across from you sometime soon, and or just to build momentum in a club and show that people, hey, we're all working here, we're all at home working on this stuff. It's very cool. So yeah, I think it's very interesting. I for sure, it's something I have as a hobbyist. I don't know if struggle is the right word, but have often thought like, maybe I should post more work in progress and get your point about listening to unsolicited criticism is really apt, right?
Yeah. And like that's not to like, it's not to like, you know, dog on like people posting work in progress pictures. Like I like looking at them. I like seeing the steps. I like, you know, whatever. I'm not going to be the type of person to you know, give unsolicited criticism. I will only give criticism if someone asks me for it, because I know how I feel about unsolicited criticism.
Yeah.
I also know that I can be very not harsh, but if you're asking me for criticism, I'm expecting you
to want criticism,
to want me to point out everything and not just layer it with, well, you did this really good, but not this really good. But you did this really good, but not this really good. Right?
Kat is pretty serious. Like I've seen her at the store. Someone's like, "Okay, what do you think I could do to improve this?" And the first thing she said is, "Well, your hair's stupid." Wait, are you talking about my model or me personally? And then she just moved on to the next
no memory of this.
No, of course you didn't do that. I'm just joking. You wouldn't do it. Well, I don't really like your face.
Yeah.
Like you as a person.
Yeah.
You as a person could just fundamentally.
Just not do
Kat
the
is
things.
Savage,
Yeah. So.
Of course, Kat would never do that.
Yeah. I also feel like it's also an insecurity thing of like, oh, maybe they don't care about my opinion, you know, whatever. So that's another reason why I won't give criticism unless someone like specifically asks for it. But if someone specifically asks for it, more than happy. More than happy to
make them cry.
Yes. Point out areas of improvement. I'm going to try and be positive here. Yeah. So.
That's good. Yeah, I this was interesting to hear from you. It was interesting to kind of think about it myself. To when we're undergoing a large project, the things that you do, and I was kind of just observing this with myself over the past few after the past week or so, because I've been gearing up for a new project.
Right.
And I was like, wow, I'm like cleaning parts of my house that I haven't been in months. Like all kinds of weird stuff happening.
Wow.
Yeah. What's up, brave new world? Where are you at? What are you working on?
Still teeth, but I've blacked out and I've done the other one so far. So I did his teeth and then I blacked out his little lip rings, which are super cute that I didn't notice until now. But then I put some black on the little tooth cap there and stuff. So yeah, now I'm just working on the other one.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, so we got a couple of super chats.
Oh, fun.
That we should go over, yeah. So Broken Chef says, color scheme idea, Daughter of Khaine snake list, banana python bodies, red cloth, teal cloth, and metal color. Thinking copper, so red and go warm, maybe.
Well, I'm always, you guys have heard us give the reluctance on red and yellow together. So I don't know about Broken Chef. I think there's a way you can make that work, but I think you have to choose either your red or your yellow carefully. Like bone in red, cool.
That is a yellowy white.
That is a yellowy white.
Mm-hmm.
Bone and red, looks super great together. Or let's keep the yellow and change the red. Yellow and coral or yellow and orange.
Right. So red and yellow can go well together. It just depends on saturation levels. With the two colors, I feel like if you have strong red and strong yellow together, they're going to be battling each other. It's going to look like McDonald's, you know.
It was McDonald's. That's what we've said. But honestly, the other thing is just like, anytime you take those three primary colors and like mix them together in high saturations,
it looks sort of superhero-y.
It looks sort of superhero-y, like little boy clothes or like little boy toys, like, you know what I mean, like things a toddler would play with, like it's just kind of the classic like bright yellow, blue. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't work culturally anyway. Associations,
right?
Even McDonald's aside, right? So for me, I'm reticent to suggest those together. I do, however, love yellow and turquoise together, Broken Chef. So that is your other suggestion. I would say is super cool. I'm kind of curious what color you're going to do their skin, if the snake parts of them are like a banana python.
Which, in my opinion, are some of the cutest snakes in the world.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am more drawn to, I think maybe like a salmon color would actually be really cool for the cloth if you wanted to go red. A soft muted coral, I think would be really cute. If you don't want to go cute, then maybe some teal, some darker teal would actually contrast really well with the yellow bodies. So yeah, it just depends on what you want to do. If you want them to look softer, I would go with a more of a muted red, like orangey red. I think that would be really nice and like honestly give a lot of color to the table. You don't really find that happening a lot. I think what people tend to gravitate towards when it comes to painting color schemes and stuff is like high contrast color schemes. But you don't have to go that way in order to make something look good. So like a desaturated red, I think would actually look really nice. And then a metal color.
This is actually what I was curious what you thought for this. So I'm going to do the Zach Lazy thing where like I could brush paint something, but I'm just going to like aggressively airbrush. So yeah, let's get a zoom in on this because this is a great place where I might mess up. So I could just put the ink here on this, but I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm too lazy.
What ink are you spraying right now?
The red.
Oh, okay.
I think I'd rather just airbrush because for me it's I don't know, it's like I don't know if that's easier. I just know it's gonna look better.
Yeah, so
you ever feel that way? You're just like, cool, I'll just see if I can get an airbrush to paint this line that I know.
If you don't want to spend time blending, yeah. I've definitely been there, and then sometimes I've regretted it because I'm like, oh no.
Well, even blending after, right? Like I just want the base coat. I just want like the first coat or whatever. Or like
Yeah.
I just want parts of it to be.
Yeah, airbrushing significantly cuts down on your blending time though. Like
Yes,
I feel. So yeah, no, I've been there. Anyway, metal color for the daughters.
Yeah, what color? What do you do? Do you do silver? You do warm? What about blue? Like a blue steel?
Honestly, I would do like an oiled gold. I think that would be really cool. Like a really dark, almost black gold. I think that would be like interesting. If you wanted to go warm, you could do almost like a patinaed copper. I think that'd be kind of cute too.
Mm-hmm.
It depends, right? Do you want to put some blue in there? If you go with the like the salmony color red cloths and stuff, you can sneak some blue in there by painting their metal bits copper and then putting a cute patina on there.
Yeah.
Everything is gonna be cute in my eyes.
I mean, I don't think this is like what you're describing is not exactly cute hammer.
Everything needs
like,
to be cute hammer.
Oh, sorry, that was probably super weird sounding. I was just like pounding my mic with my hand. Yeah, I don't think it's like cute hammer in that kind of way though. It's just like it's gonna look cool. It's gonna look good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'd be curious to find out which way you went. If you were gonna go with red, I would definitely desaturate it, especially with the banana yellow, like because banana yellow pythons are already like a creamy.
They're
almost,
yellow and white, right?
Yeah, like a banana cream kind of color. So I feel like if you went in with a really strong red, it would definitely pull away from their bodies, which depending on what you do to their bodies, might be doing them a disservice. You never know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're gonna go with red, I'd say a desaturated red. If you're gonna go with teal, honestly, I think you can do whatever you wanted to do, as far as like saturation levels go with that. And then if you went with the red, sneak some blue in there. I think that'd be kind of cute, or like some greenish.
They have a lot of like gems on their bodies, on their armor and on their clothing. So you could just like this guy is gonna have these blue gems, and honestly be pretty yellow and red, to be honest with you, because of the fire and stuff going on. I think blue. Yeah, you're right. Like that's a good place that you could work the blue in for sure on Daughters of Khaine.
Yeah. So we got another super chat. This is gonna be from Christopher Pulley. Or Pully, sorry. Yo, I've been working on batch painting my Maggotkin of Nurgle. Been doing my blues and purples. Got past the progress and hobby progress.
Gotta post the progress.
Gotta post the hobby
progress. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. We're really excited when people are painting. Really excited when people are painting Sigmar right now. We love 40K. Sigmar's new really to the studio, but we're super into it. It's just a lot of fun, and honestly, it's great because like no surprise, right? 40K players forever have been like sort of jealous of the models. Their 40K models are often super cool looking, and
they're not cute.
They're not
cute.
They're
boring.
They're boring. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like. So it can often be like rinse and repeat on lines, but I guess Sigmar does that too. But the just like the monsters, the epic monsters and stuff.
I think Age of Sigmar sculpts are definitely more dynamic out of the box.
Yeah.
I think with how deep the fan base goes for 40K, we've definitely seen a lot of really cool art and like resculpts and everything like that out of 40K that I think they balance each other out pretty well.
Yeah, it's a different line and a different aesthetic, but also you still kind of get the GW aesthetic, which we all probably mostly love. So it's nice. That's awesome to hear. Maggot-kin are a super cool army. And I don't know, yeah, there's so many interesting ways to paint Nurgle. Nurgle is like this army that you can kind of be lazy with and get away with a lot and just suddenly have like an
Just
army.
weather the heck out of them.
Yeah. It's just grossiness and all kinds of stuff. But I think it's also an army that I've seen people do like truly amazing things with.
Yep.
We have a studio army painted by a good friend of ours, Brian Harvey, who's lives nearby. That looks amazing. Adrian's army looks great. Those two look pretty good together. Adrian, I think it did a little more. I can't remember. One of them's a little more purple. One of them's a little more green. They both look really, really interesting. And interesting to describe an army is, I don't know. It's like a bad word, right? It's kind of weird. So that's not what I mean. I mean they both look really amazing in interesting ways. It's kind of like telling a musician after their concert that they look good up there. You know, they look very good up there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like the Nurgle, if I were to pick a 40k army, I'm more drawn to them than anything else.
Oh yeah, you're into so like the demons or the Death Guard or a little bit of both.
The Death Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that they're almost sort of Space Marine-y looking, but like gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something appealing to me about that.
It's a cool model line.
One of the things that like really drew me into Gitz was the fact that they don't take themselves like very seriously. And that's sort of like the feel that I'm getting a little bit from Nurgle a little bit. They're like Space Marines who don't take themselves seriously.
Well,
I don't know if that's right, but sculpt-wise.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right about 40k players would probably tell you conceptually Nurgle doesn't take itself too seriously. Death Guard are somewhat the grumpy part of.
That's fair.
They're probably the grumpiest part of Nurgle, but even still, yeah, they're kind of interesting. I mean, like, look, Nurgle has the guy in both games called Sloppity Bile Piper. What kind of name is that? And it's fun. Yeah, it's a fun army. And actually, I've played against this army a few times. I've always had good games against it. My army is I've played against it with a couple of different armies, but my army, largely the Beastclaw Raiders, are a very skew army. Honestly, I have to confess that they're an army that some people don't have a fun time against. It's not an army I usually like teach people with because it's just kind of funky. But every game I've ever had against the Maggot-kin has been good. It's been close. They hang in there. They surprise you. The disease dice mechanic is super fun. So without being overpowered. So really been enjoying playing against them, and yeah, awesome to hear more people get into AOS. We love it.
So I've heard this phrase a couple times, right? Of like an army being fun to play against versus an army being not fun to play against.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, makes or breaks that?
Well, that's a really good question. I think most people will say that, let me give an example of an army that's unfun to play against, is maybe something where it's very good at one particular thing, or like especially good at one particular thing, and as a result, when it shows up across the table from you, if your army is like good at defending against that, then there's a good chance that player might have a bad time and feel frustrated. By contrast, if your army is not good at defending against that, you'll have a bad time. So there's a lot of lots of times people in 40k have suggested Tau can be this way, Harlequins can be this way, like just an army that wants to run at you and assault, or an army that wants to stand back and shoot and doesn't have a lot of assault. Just like any kind of mixing in, like what this army is really good at is one thing. Now, I think people oftentimes we do tend to over exaggerate. And maybe it can be a little doom and gloom about it. But in Sigmar, there's a lot of armies that are just like they've got a couple of monsters. Your army's a good example, right? This army's always fun to play against. They've got some monsters. They've got some little characters, heroes who are cool. They've got a bunch of little units. A lot of randomness that can go hot one way or the other. You never feel too bad like when a Gloomspite player So you're like, oh man, I really don't want to get charged by that unit, and they roll like 3 dice to move, 3d6, and they get like a 15. You're like, okay, they deserve that.
Right.
Because last turn, that important unit over there got like a 4, right? So that's a fun army to play against. I think if you feel like the army is putting pressure on you right away, and the army is the army that's controlling how the battle goes, that can be a little scary, a little frustrating. Oftentimes, you just kind of have to live through it. That's certainly how my Ogres work. Like, it's very scary right away the first few turns, or the like couple turns where they actually get to do their things. But if you can kind of survive it and live through it, then you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And now they're kind of, easy to brush up or like pick up off the board, and they're sort of fragile now or whatever. So I guess that's how I would describe it.
Okay.
You could probably get some different answers on that, I think, but
Fair. Yeah, because I am a Magic player, and so I've been told that my deck isn't fun to play against.
Ooh, we got a power gamer. We got a Magic power gamer here, Bridger.
Sometimes it makes me feel bad, but it's also like, this is kind of how I want to play.
Yeah.
But then it also makes me feel like, well, am I doing something wrong? Because am I not fun to play against because of it? So I don't know. Like, I would hope that if like I picked an army that was quote unquote not fun to play against, that it would still be fun to play against me, because
I see.
You're just having a good time in general. So I don't know. Like, maybe that's just sort of like a weird insecurity, right? Of like, oh, well, I've been told my decks aren't fun to play against. Well, I don't want to play with this, because like I want people that I'm playing against to have a good time, but also I kind of want to do what I want to do. Right?
Yeah, no, of course. Wargaming is the same way. And again, honestly, I would say my guess is this is like a little bit into my extreme reaction of not necessarily wanting to share work in progress or get advice, because like, do you know the person, can you be sure that the person who's telling you it's not fun to play against, can you be sure that that person isn't just a sore loser, or isn't just, like, doesn't like a particular thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like anytime you play blue or black in Magic, no one has fun except for the person who's playing it. But I don't know. I get it, but it's also like, it's also a luck-based thing of like, well, I'm not always going to draw this card, or whatever. So yeah, I just as I get more into tabletop miniature gaming, I just want to make sure I'm like a fun person to play against, I think. Awesome. Well, sweet. Well, thank you for your
well, no, one thing I will say, a lot of fans of the show know Brian, who started Tabletop Titans, who started the channel. And Brian is the master at beating you, like, unmercifully into the ground while you're playing him. Wait, merciful? Mercifully.
I'm not even going to say anything.
One without mercy.
I'm just not.
And just, like, still making it somehow a fun time.
Okay.
So there's always that. Like, there's always that. I try to do that, too, when I play my ogres against like people at RTT and I, like a new player. I'm like, look, this person showed up to this happened a couple weeks ago. Super cool, fan of the show, showed up, and he was new, and and I was like, look, he actually had Gloomspite Gitz, and I knew that he was young, and I was like, look, this RTT, this isn't going to prevent me from absolutely wrecking this game. But like, we should still have fun, and he was a super cool guy, and great sport about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the player is honestly the biggest part of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So maybe you're just, I don't know. Do you do a lot? I can imagine you doing a lot of trash talking while you're playing Magic. No.
No, not at all.
I know.
Not at all. I just have a really bad poker face.
Oh, I see.
And so I draw a card, and I'm like, hee. So.
Yeah, and people.
It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I don't know. I like causing chaos too, as well, when I'm playing Magic as well. Maybe I'm going to do something that's not necessarily the best move for me, but it's the most interesting. So
in some ways, it's more interesting. You know, it's funny that you say that, but that actually can make people really. That can make like some players very angry, because they might be like teching towards what is like the best move, and then when you don't do it, they're like they can get a little. I've seen people get a little aggravated and they like try to talk you out of like why you shouldn't do that. But you're like, wait, but this is not good for you. Like,
there's
I think
competitive
that's
people who will take it as you prolonging the game as well too, and you know whatever.
I
so it gets that way, but I imagine any competitive game gets that way. So,
yeah, I guess I don't know enough about Magic to comment one way or the other.
Fair enough. All right, got some more super chats here. So we got one from Matthew Nurgle.
Oh, hi, Matthew Nurgle. We know this guy.
What up from Nurgle, Matt? I'm still painting the brown-black Templar army for Bud.
Yes.
About to wash them. Did the brown wash over tint the shoulder pads?
Well, we had a way that Brent and I had a way that we did this, and the way we did it is we kept it really diluted, very, very diluted. So
diluted with what? Just water?
Honestly, we did use water, and I think we kept it on a wet palette, and we were just checking the consistency a lot. And also, Brett was in chat earlier. I'm not sure he used it over the whole pad. I think he kind of used it selectively, like mostly in the recesses and edges of it.
Nice.
Rather than just putting it all over the whole thing. But I would dilute it. I don't know. Washes. I've largely diluted like Citadel washes. I've largely diluted them with water. They make a medium for it too.
A Lamian medium.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I've used it, but I've never really diluted a wash down
with anything else but water.
Well, no, I've used, like I said, I think I've used a Lamian medium, but I'm not usually diluting washes like.
Oh.
No, I'm trying to think how to say it. It's like I'm not diluting them. I'm never like applying a diluted wash in a very controlled area, but this would kind of be an exception to that.
Yeah,
like,
to me, it's easier to add more than it is to take away. So I always apply wash in a very controlled, diluted manner. So
I see.
Yeah, I guess my thing would be if you're scared, then test it out. Don't put a lot on, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, always the best advice. But I would start with diluted for sure. I think Kat would say the same thing clearly.
Yeah.
Good luck, and excited to see these as they. I don't know how far you are. This was Matthew Nurgle.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know I'm curious how far you are in this army. Should post some pics.
Yeah.
Speaking of posting some pics, we do have a little bit of fan stuff.
We do. We
Fan
do.
Fan stuff is so interesting. It's really like this last week was just crazy. Like there was too much stuff last week. This week, not as much stuff. Some really great stuff. There's always really great stuff. But yeah, we've got a few still to show off here. Okay, this is super cool. This Tyrannid. Oh man, there's like a lot going on. But there's a lot of different colors going on. But what they did is they did it all the same way. And so for me it works because it's just like this weird collection of colors, but all consistent in their application.
Nice.
I don't know if that makes sense, but...
No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, especially when you look at it.
Especially when you look at it and that is what's happening, yeah.
No, I like super colorful stuff, especially when they blend well together and, it doesn't look... what would it be called? Tacky, I guess, as far as like furniture wise goes, or whatever dress style goes. Yeah, I think this looks really cool. The base is super awesome too. Yeah, that's what stands out to me.
The base
a
is
lot.
crazy cool. Yeah, and like they did a good job of I've been really into exercises and warmth and coolness interacting with each other, and that's kind of how I read this. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, these are super cool.
I like that.
Yeah. Now, Thomas B posted a number of pictures in Discord, and so check his out because I just grabbed the one that he had his name on, which happened to be the overall shot. But honestly, I'd probably, if he had put his name on any of the other ones, I might have done that, and then because they just showed the individual model a little bit better. That said, it is cool to see all of these.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the patterns. I like how bright they are. I like the contrasting colors with the patterns as well too. I think that's super cool.
It's
That's super
dope,
cool.
right? It's
Would
really...
are these three the same thing? They don't look the same. Are they the same model?
They're the same kit. This builds. Oh, he built I think one of each. One is like a transport, Star Reaver, and one's a Star Reaver, and I forget the other one, Void Reaver. Someone will have to tell me. I forget the Harlequin transport names, but it's the same kit, and it builds like 2 slight variations on a cat, and he built 2 of each.
Oh, that's so cool though.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I want to see that like on a table.
I want to see the rest of this army, honestly. Now, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. So this guy's super cool. Nice red application. The Visarch. I don't know. He's just cool. He's a cool model. It's a nice paint job. This is one of those instances where I'm like, cool, super great. Like,
yeah.
Good job being great.
Good job.
Not sure what I specifically love the most about this.
Like the fur.
The fur. I was gonna say the fur. Yeah.
Yeah, especially on the dark screen. But
Yeah,
the fur and the sword are what really stand out to me.
But even that, it's like, again, it's a dark and cool thing, right? Like the rest is red, and then he kind of went like cooler blue tones on those. Off to, and like they set up this like little point of interest off to the right side of the model from what we're looking at. Yeah, super cool.
That's really awesome.
Nice job.
Good job. Oh
yeah, we don't get a lot of
Legion.
We don't get a lot of Legion, but here's some. I just thought this was a very nice, clean Stormtrooper. Like, looks like what you want to see a Stormtrooper look like. These are the Tatooine Stormtroopers, right? Because of that little orange pad. I don't really know Star Wars very well.
No. The orange, it like whatever their shoulder color is, it indicates like rank, essentially. And so like an orange would be sort of like a captain or a sergeant or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, not that is it. Okay, for whatever reason I thought the guys on Tatooine now had these orange pads. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm definitely wrong.
I mean, maybe that's what like sticks out to you the most. But yeah, their colored shoulder pads indicate rank. It'd be like something akin to like stars or the little chevrons and stuff on people's shoulders and stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I like it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
I like it.
So Cicero Art has been posting this army, his progress, and I mean, it's just so good. We love this. His Instagram profile is super cool. This is like Death Guard done bright, which is kind of weird, but it works. It really works.
Yeah, it's bright but weathered.
Yeah.
And so it's like you don't normally see the two.
I love
same,
it. I love
right?
it. I love it. Yeah.
But that's really cool. I like it a lot. Like I am very drawn visually to really bright fluorescent, like strong colors and stuff.
Same.
One of my favorite entries into the Golden Demon this year was Anthony Wang's Squig that was like blasting off into space and stuff. It just had such bright, strong colors to it. And it's hard to make that look good and blended, but he does it so well. And so, yeah, that's what I kept coming back to. It was really cool. I liked it a lot. So, yeah, no, this reminds me of it, is essentially what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
so, great job.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Soups. Here's Soups. So check this out because he posted another picture, folks. He actually has been doing, I don't know, Soups, if you're still around, but this was actually based off artwork. And he literally found, it was like old-timey artwork, like old 1995, like GW art. And he just like literally copied some artwork and made a model.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know. It's a cool idea. Like Soups, I'd be really curious because Soups posts all the time. He paints a lot. He's always painting something different. I'd be curious if this is going to make it into an army or if it's just like a kind of a display thing you're doing.
Well, the base would have to be different if it was for an army, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
yes.
Is this orange or red?
It's red. This is.
Okay.
I think it's a blood angel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. And it goes back to like finding your motivation, right? Obviously, Soup's motivation was this particular piece of art. And I see that happen a lot, especially with how old 40K is. There's a lot to pull from when it comes to like inspiration and stuff.
It's cool. I have to admit, I kind of famously am not the biggest fan of like 90s GW aesthetic. But he's done a nice job on this. And the artwork piece was pretty cool. So
I like their art. Not a big fan of their older models.
yeah, I would same. That's
But the art is really cool. It's almost like old school like death metal stuff
Yes.
like that. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
That's it. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Super cool
Yeah,
stuff.
thank you.
Not a ton of stuff this week. I think it was I don't know. People were at Adepticon. Who knows? But the
Yeah.
stuff that did show up, super cool. So should I show where I'm at with this dude?
Yeah.
With this guy? Let's this light's probably blowing things out a little bit
Yeah.
here. So
Because we got a couple more super chats to go
yeah,
through.
okay.
I think that's good.
I know. Our TV sucks.
Yeah.
Seth, give a thumbs up. There we go. Okay. So got his gems done. His head is now attached to his body. I need to do. I'm really excited to do something with this axe. This is like a crazy powerful axe, so I can't just be like this silver. I haven't even really done anything with the silver, so clearly I've got to do some stuff here. Decals I may not get to today on stream. Like I said, we want to be able to use this guy in the studio for different Eldar armies. So it's why there's a few things I did to make him Simhan. I thought one, to give him the bear head without the helmet, and the axe made him about as barbarian looking as he could, and Simhan are a little more barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I don't know. Adrian and I were talking. He was like, yeah, I guess I won't put a Samhain decal on him. But you know what? I'm sorry, Adrian. Look at this. This is so beautiful. I'm going to like take the biggest black Simhan decal, cut it in half, and have it like half. Like a cool print. Like a 2006 H&M print shirt where it's like half of a picture on a shirt. That's what he's going to have. That's going to be cool. Now, a couple things I have left to add to him. He has some little bits and stuff that, believe it or not, go in a few different places. I actually forget where they go. I think there's like straps that come up here. And then this cool thing is super reminiscent. I love this because if anyone plays Sigmar and the Daughters of Khaine, all of their endless spells have this kind of blood dripping thing aesthetic like this. So this thing, I just want to very much paint its own sort of unique color. I was actually gonna, I'm not sure, but I do know that I want to use the blood or the ghost tint fresh blood on it. So this will kind of pop out here. And other than that, he's pretty close to being done. Got to figure out some axe. Kat, what do you think? How do we make this axe truly an axe that deserving of the Avatar of Khaine?
Well, I don't know who he is, so.
Okay, so each elf craft world can summon. Khaine is the elf god in both 40K and Sigmar of like war and murder for the most part. And then each craft world in 40K has like access to this like version of him.
Right.
So you can only have one in your army. Like that's kind of the point. Like he's very epic, and this axe does a lot of damage.
I think
very magical. Yes.
it would be cool if it sort of matched your like shiny black thing that you have going on with the skin, right?
Oh,
of like an almost oiled steel looking thing, right? But like you got some like cool silver shimmer in it. And then contrasting into that, maybe some blues or something.
I see.
Like,
I've been inspired by your idea about the volcanic thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Then yeah.
All right. I think I know what I'm going to do. Okay. Here we go.
All
right, here we go. All right. We're going to take a risk. We're going to do something wacky. We're going to try it out.
Sweet.
I'm just going to start by airbrushing black all over the axe.
Nice.
Not exactly right, but
mask.
No. Trust me. This is what I want.
Okay.
I'm not going to do all over the axe. I'm being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's you know what? It's your model. You do what you want to do, and maybe I will be pleasantly.
Look, you gave me this idea. You're the one.
Ooh, don't put that.
You just told me to do this.
All right.
You just said paint the axe
Black.
black.
I did.
No,
did say that.
I'm gonna I'm gonna sort of recreate the magma stuff. I'm gonna do black, and then I'm gonna take the white ink and do like little streaks, and then I'm just gonna go through my magma process again, kind of over top of it.
Yeah.
To sort of make it look like it's.
I think that'd be really cool.
Very volcanic.
I will trust your process.
Well, somebody has to.
I will trust your process. While we are trusting your process, let's get through a couple more super chats here. So Liberty Fires says Cat and Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Liberty Fires, as always.
Yeah. Hello.
We love this enthusiasm for our very core of who we are.
I love this particular amount of enthusiasm
This is a good
specifically
amount.
for me, and for you. Love this.
What's special about this particular amount?
Well, it was just it's all caps, and 3 exclamation points for my name.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have more. Oh, I see. Liberty.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's funny. Thank you, Liberty Fires. And you know what's very funny is people were like, I found out that since I've never had like a 9-to-5 rat race job. Apparently, I don't know if you knew this, it's not cool to use exclamation points in emails and stuff.
Oh, I use them all the time.
I know, right?
I don't want people to think I'm mad. That's my biggest thing.
I do that too. Oh my gosh, I do the same thing.
But it's not cool to use multiple ones right after the other. Like double exclamation points. It's also not okay to put smiley faces unless you're like being specifically unprofessional with somebody.
That should be okay. I feel like that's more professional.
Yeah, but my big thing with like exclamation points and stuff and like whatever and my particular like email sign-offs and stuff, I just don't want people to think I'm mad or upset with them.
Right, thanks, period. Thanks, period is like, wow.
Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever I did.
Yeah. Oh, did I do something that was wrong?
Yeah. No, it's a thing where text always reads out like so much more like angry than it actually is. Yeah. But speaking of Liberty Fires, did another super chat. It says, sorry I've been away for a while. I had my first 40K game a couple weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
And honestly, it did not feel great.
Oh.
Got burned out. Getting back to painting some models since that still feels great.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
That's really sad to hear, honestly.
Yeah, I think right now with 40K, the game can be super cool and super fun, but you do have to kind of hunt things down and get it. You do have to kind of plan your matchups out right now. There's some armies that are just very powerful right now. Liberty Fires. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but there's a lot going on and there's a lot to be excited about. But there's also a lot that I wouldn't say be wary, but like I said, you kind of have to say, oh, like my friend wants to play his Tau and he wants to bring 10 crisis suits. Like, hey, that's going to be a thing. Like that's going to be a specific thing, and are you ready for that? And maybe if you're not ready for that, you need to tell your friend, or I have to imagine. Listen, we're very fortunate here in the Bay Area. We have a big group of friends. We have Titan Studio people. We have
we have a lot of people who play.
Our local narrative group, Fault Line. I have not just gone into a store and played a pickup game in a very long time, but I understand that's if you're starting off in a new area, you're just starting to play the game for the first time, you don't know anyone who plays it. That's probably how you're playing. And look, those games don't always go well. Like you and that person no longer have a mutual understanding necessarily of the type of game you have. You're just literally going and looking for a person that has the same hobby as you. You know what store they'll be in, and that's it. So like, it can be I don't know if scary is the right word, but like it's not a sure thing that you're gonna get a good game in.
Well, also like a game of 40K like takes many hours, right? So I guess that my question is, what burned you out on it? Was it just length? Was it, you weren't having fun? And were you not having fun because, you're not particularly happy with your list? Or did you just not like the person you were playing against? Because either way, there are aspects about it that you can change, right? And you don't have to then just push through that same experience over and over and over again, and that's always how 40K is going to be for you.
Very true.
Right. If you're not happy with your list, then going back into painting and changing up your list that way, I think is the best way that you can go about it. If you just didn't like the person that you were playing against, great. Don't play against that person anymore. But if it's the length, then, maybe go for like a lower point game, right? And taking it from there, right? Lower point game, it's going to take less amount of time. Or, maybe try out some kill team rules or something like that. I know it's a little bit different, but, maybe just try out something like that, or join up an escalation league where it involves both play and hobby. Mm-hmm. I hate to hear that, like, you're burnt out on a game that you've already invested so much time and energy into. So my whole thing would be to find out why, mm-hmm. right? Why did you not like that particular experience?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's good advice, for sure. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's great advice. Yeah. But don't give up.
Yeah.
Because the game will change. Your local, you'll find somebody better to play with. That's a better fit for you. Yeah. Look for. I think the escalation league concept is really good. Mm-hmm. I guess I never thought about that. What we did in the Bay Area. Me and this other guy back in 2015 is we were just like, hey, we'll just make a group that plays in this more interesting way, where the people at least just have to talk to each other. And like, we love competitive play in that group now, but we also all know each other and we talk to each other. If somebody new wants to join, we run them through a process to make sure that they work and are a good fit and don't throw dice or don't only bring competitive stuff or can have a fun time without competitive stuff, but know how to also like converse with people and say, cool, I'd like to bring this more competitive thing, or maybe I won't bring this because your army can't deal with it, so that won't be a very fun game for you. Mm-hmm. And look, if there's a group in your area, Liberty Fires, or you can always start your own. Yeah,
that's true. So yeah, I would just suggest, like, one, hobbying is always a great, like,
well, that too, of course, right?
Cool down from it, right? But if you used to enjoy 40K and this first game back in a really long time, you didn't enjoy it, then I would honestly say, like, reflect on why that is, right? And then change that aspect that you don't like about it. So yeah, I mean, that's sad to hear, but, it doesn't have to stay that way, is essentially my thing.
Today is tomorrow's yesterday.
Yeah, that, right? All right, so we got another super chat from Matt Baker.
Oh, hey, Matt.
How specific do you guys get when recording your recipes? Painted Death Guard green on 5 Plague Marines one night and added an extra couple drops of water, and the next night, extra drops of water the next night, and it was almost a full shade lighter.
Are you waiting for me to answer? Because you don't record your stuff?
Yeah, I don't record it.
Very, honestly, very specific. I don't mess around. It's not the time to mess around, right? Like, why would I? So, and look, I guess you're probably, look, the stuff you're describing, Matt, I've had happen to me for the same reason. So you clearly now know why I don't mess around. Like I said, I'll oftentimes even put notes that are like, you could use this instead, or hey, really important that this happen in this order because if it doesn't, this will happen. Like I always do stuff like that. I always, I'm honestly, I'm very specific. No reason not to be, other than laziness. And
Ooh,
don't be lazy.
I feel called out.
No. But I mean, you just don't do this. You have a different way of doing it, right?
Yeah. For me, because I don't paint in opaque layers, recording recipes isn't always like necessarily the most important thing. Recording and, paying attention to like my layers that I built up before that is really what's going to mostly affect the color.
Right.
Because I paint in very, very, very thin layers unless I'm trying to like just fully saturate a piece, right? But then I know I'm going to put paint on top of it. So like whatever it kind of turns out to be is it doesn't super affect the end process. So if you're doing it Zach's way, very meticulous, very specific. If you're doing it my way, I don't. I just go, I use this color, but then if I can't find that color next time I go to sit down and paint, I'll just use a different color.
Yeah, but I'm also imagining, like, to be fair, I'm also imagining you have things set up where you find that color again.
Yes.
Like, if I can't find that color, like, how often does that happen to you?
It's usually only if I'm, like, in a different location, right? Like, if I just forget my paints somewhere.
Did you get your paints today?
I did.
Okay, I was wondering why you're using all of these Reaper paints.
I did. Yeah, no, I usually keep them in my car. And when I opened my trunk, they weren't there, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I took them all out, and I was digging through them for specific ones to bring with me to Adepticon. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you have here, the Adepticon.
Yeah,
the Adepticon
paints that I bought at Adepticon.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So that can happen 100%. If you are looking for like all of these models need to be specifically this shade, this whatever, I would be as meticulous as you possibly can be when it comes to recording your recipes. If you can have some variation, which all of my models tend to have, then that's totally fine.
But how? I kind of asked this earlier of you. Are you feeling like that you're gonna have to revise this process with
No.
tackling an army, or are you feeling you can make it work for you in your current?
I think I can make it work for me, mostly just because like I'm pretty confident with my ability to color match.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I am, or I don't think I care to attempt it.
Right.
Adrian's very good at it too. I'm kind of blown away by it. I don't know. I don't think I can do that. I guess I probably could. Anyone can do anything with practice.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it just doesn't.
You'll never know unless you try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also at the same time, I'm not looking for them all to be the same. To me, every single squig is an individual. Right, they're all going to be pink.
Every squig is special?
Yeah, every squig is special. They're all, like, all the squig hoppers are going to be pink. But whether those shades vary, honestly, I want them to.
Right.
But they're all going to be pink, right? So, like, they're going to have the cohesiveness in being the same color, but, they're not going to all look the same. And I think that's fine because they're also none of the models are the same as well too. Unless I'm like doing multiples, then that's different.
Right.
So, yeah. But lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
Right. You learn best from the mistakes you make, and
That's true.
If you make that mistake once, you're probably not going to make it again.
That is true.
All right. Let's,
Did we catch up?
No, not. We got a few more.
Oh, okay.
We got another one from someone 1999. Zach, any more thoughts on coming out to the Bug Eaters event? I was thinking about painting up a Fire Slayers army for it. Omaha isn't that small. We have at least a couple chilies.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. someone 1999. I've been through Omaha. I think it's nice. Omaha, Council Bluffs. I've been around there before. Megan and I've driven across the country a number of times. It's nice. I love Hy-Vee. I don't know if you guys have Hy-Vee in Omaha. If that's Council Bluffs, maybe just. Anyway, I'm not sure yet. It's on my radar as an event. I wouldn't mind going to. It seems like I have to imagine. I'd be very curious how big it is. I should check and see if there's still Sigmar tickets left. I'm guessing that there probably are, but I don't know if I'm going to go or not. Honestly, here's what's going to be the factor. The factor is basically going to be what's going on here at the studio.
At the time.
Yeah, how busy are we? If I go, so anytime one of us goes to something like this, we're leaving the other ones in a bit of a pickle, right? So it's over the course of a weekend. Well, now I can't produce the Saturday show. Well, that's okay, because I don't always produce a Saturday show anyway. But what happens if Bridger can't produce now, right? So whenever we do this, we always kind of have to stop and think about what's going on, because we're not staffed at a point where any one of us can just whenever we want pick up and go and do something. We all let each other do that, but there's also sort of this, cool, yeah, no, we just want to have a show, so you can go do this thing. We don't want to do that to each other. So I'm gonna.
So the answer is maybe. You'll think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
Have you ever gone? I don't know that this is a big trade one. I think it's just gaming.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I would love to go. I honestly whatever people say. Oh, Omaha, there's not that much going on. Oh, I don't even care. What am I going to do? I'm going to play 40K.
Right.
I don't need there to be a beach.
Right. I mean, to me, it's usually if I'm going to a convention, I'm not really going to be doing anything outside of it except for eating.
Right. If I go with Meg and I extend my we've done that before. We stayed an extra day in San Diego. We've done that before. That happens, and I'm sure there's still at least a day or two worth of cool things to do in Omaha. So yeah, I'm not gonna say no. I'd like to. Let me see what's going on.
Fair enough.
Okay, wait. Can I show my axe? So
Yeah.
here's what I did. I was cool. I'm just gonna do a kind of a.
Oh, cool.
A lava-y, crackling lava-y axe on him. So there he is.
That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Just a random idea. I mean, you not really. You told me to do this.
It's a random idea.
This is your idea.
Yeah.
Well, you said lava.
It's your execution of my random idea.
Yeah. I think it works.
Yeah. I agree.
So I need to do his bloody thing, and I won't do decals on stream. Another step I'm not going to do on stream, folks, but I'll kind of show you what I'm going to do real quick. Is I'm going to take Garlsberg Crimson, and I'm just going to shade a little bit of his armor areas. There's actually not even that much. I probably could knock this out super fast, but I'll show you a great place where that needs to probably happen is right here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make sure it's not thick and crazy on my brush, and just go a little bit in here. Just give it a little bit of definition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that looks really good.
There's a few places where this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Here.
It's detail work. And
yeah,
stuff.
it's just detail, a little bit of detail work. So that has to happen in a few places. And I'll probably do that off stream probably tomorrow on his shoulder pad.
All right. So one more super chat. It's from Siri Esco.
I always think it's a Sir Esco. This is
Esco?
They posted the Death Guard that was bright. Yeah.
Yeah, it says, hey y'all, I painted the bright green Death Guard shown earlier.
Yep.
I'm working on Mortarion soon, but can't decide on the color for the wings. Ideas.
So Mortarion, you've seen this model.
I have, yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess his armor is going to be similar to the green we saw. Mm-hmm. So my instincts are purple or yellow. What do you think? What would you say?
My instincts, based off of other Mortarions that I've seen, is do something absolutely insane. and a ton of freehand work and paint some pictures in there.
I like all that.
But yeah, if it's gonna be like super bright green, I would suggest yellow. I think yellow would be awesome. A blue fading out to yellow, I think would be really cool. If it depends on if you want to keep everything like super vibrant, super like bright. If you're okay with like muting down some things, then I think like a grayish purple would be really cool.
Grayish purple would be cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you want to mute down. What about like oranges? Did you say orange?
I did not say orange. I said yellow.
I do love orange and green together. When bright, like when colors are like bright orange and bright green together, kind of a cool vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on how you wanted to paint them. I think would be my other thing, right? Is if you wanted to have some cool fades going on and stuff. Yeah, it's a little harder, but honestly now that I've said it, like a grayish purple is kind of what I'm stuck on.
I kind of like that too, if I'm honest. Yeah.
So I think that would be really cool. Like there's like a gray purple up there. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, almost like a sort of vampire-y purple color.
There's a great Citadel color that I use sometimes for my Tau lenses called Warp Fiend Gray. I think it's like a gray. It's like literally what you're describing, a gray purple.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that I'm done with this guy for now. There are a few things I have left to do, and I'll show those to you guys in a second. And you can expect to see them finished because this guy's got to get used on stream.
Yeah.
On Saturday. So I'll kind of show you a couple things that we're doing here. So first of all, he actually comes with a thematic base. And this base I think is going to be like our neutral base. I'll give him a base that matches my Simhan paint scheme. Well, not paint scheme, just is base to be part of that army. But we also kind of, I'm going to try, I have tried rather, magnetizing his feet so he can be taken off of his base. We'll see how this works. I have kind of done this before. So yeah, like, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Not sure if there's a more confident sounding way of putting it, but
yeah, I think it'd be fine.
I have not tried. This is not a way I've like magnetized on a base before, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens here. But this base right here, this is Adrian duty. So I slathered the mud on before he left. I was like, "How do I make one of these?" And he's like, "Just slather the mud on, and I'll take care of the rest." I think he said that. I'm going with he said that.
Well, now he said it because
it's on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little magnetization work here. Cool, that did work actually. Cool, that worked quite well. So he barely even needs the next one. But let's do it. Why not? I will sneak some Simhan symbols in here at some point. Maybe after Saturday's game. It's kind of easy to magnetize this AK mud stuff.
Yeah.
Because like it's still a little bit pliable right now. So
it takes like over 24 hours to fully.
But it's like hard enough to work with. So it's kind of nice actually. Yeah. I'm going to grab a Q-tip and make sure that there's no glue left. So I'm not like, oh yeah, my magnetization works great, but really it's just because I super glued them to the base. So the base is not finished, I confess. And there's a couple steps left on this guy, but we're at the 2.5 hour mark. So Kat, how far did you get?
I blacked out some details.
Okay.
Painted some teeth. I got a decision going on what I wanted to do with like the teeth caps and the stuff like that. But his lip ring reminded me of earrings that I have, which are also gold. And so let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. But that's as far as.
Oh wait, let's put him in the glowing can first.
All right.
Okay. Here he is, little guy. It's looking nice. I absolutely love the. Like I said, I keep calling it.
Put the other one there too.
I keep calling it periwinkle. I guess that's kind of what it is.
It's something.
It's nice.
It's
really nice, yeah.
It's almost hard to focus on, which I'm kind of like liking in a sense.
Yes, I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to pin down, which I'm totally okay with, because I know that like one of them is going to have a ton of like black spikes on him and stuff like that. So that'll definitely bring out the details and stuff. So.
Okay. Meanwhile, here's this guy. A couple last steps I will have to do with him. He's like a little bigger than I imagined, actually. We have to pull out quite a bit here. A few last steps I'll have to do. So I need to put his bloody-handed thing here. I will probably, like I said, do a little bit of the shading on places like here, a little bit around the shoulder pads. But for the most part, this guy is ready to go. Adrian will have to finish the base. I'll have to make a base for him when he's in my Simhan army. And lastly, of course, like I said, I will get some decals in here on the cloth. Let's zoom in just a little bit. He's kind of a weird size to. Here, we'll just every now and then he'll just be on screen. Here we go. Ready? He'll start off, and then he's gonna swing by.
Or we could just turn off the turntable.
Up, it's out of focus. Up.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Yeah, it's good.
He's gonna come back around though.
It's good.
Here he comes.
So I mean this in the best possible way, right? And don't take this as criticism or anything like that. But his shoes kind of remind me of a Guy Fieri shirt.
I'm struggling to understand why you would think that would be criticism. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, you mean the guy with the spiky hair?
Yeah, with the light blonde, almost white, spiky hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is Guy Fieri.
What, his shoes remind you?
Well, just I think the flames and like everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he's got that kind of look going on, like a flame shirt. Yeah, like a flame shirt.
I can't unsee it now.
Yeah, I'm into it. Look, that's not. Like, I mean, it's a look, you know.
It is.
It is a look.
It is. It's a singular look.
Yeah.
Yes. This guy is Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Okay. We did it.
Yay.
Next week on stream on Hobby Titans, we will be, well, Kat won't be here. Adrian will be back. We're going to be doing Daughters of Khaine and Night Haunt Part 2. You'll recall we did that last week. And there might be some new stuff that we're going to show off we're excited about from the Arena of Shades box that has come out. So Adrian painting some Night Haunt, me painting some Daughters of Khaine. Really excited for that. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. Check out Titan Studios. Cool stuff going on. This guy you can see on stream on Saturday. I don't know who's playing him yet. It could be Adrian, could be John. I have no clue. He'll be ready to go. He'll be smashing, doing things. Very exciting. Kat, what are you going to be working on this week? We just put you on the spot. I've never asked anyone that before. Now I'm just like, hey, what are you doing this week?
Yeah, just working on some Gitz, right? It's my next big project.
Exciting.
So, yeah, I'm determined to get this done. Also, just because I have told a lot of people that I'm going to get it done. So
good.
I feel pressure.
Good.
So.
That's fun. I'm glad. I thought I was worried what was the level of
commitment.
Of commitment.
Yeah.
And the more people you tell, the stronger it gets, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Exciting. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us as always. And as always, as we like to say here, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and always be creating. See you guys.